Hello and welcome to today's virtual boardroom session. I'm Sneha Jha, editor of ETCIO, and I welcome you all to this boardroom session, which is hosted by ETCIO in association with Google Cloud and Media Agility. The topic for today's discussion is why embedded finance is the new gold rush in financial services. For the past couple of years, the BFSI industry has seen an orbit shifting innovation as it has transitioned from financial services as a product to financial services as a lifestyle. But this requires the BFSI industry to become agile with digital capabilities in its organizational DNA and with reflexes to react swiftly to the changing competitive landscape. All this is possible if and only if they gear up to embrace new trends like embedded finance. Without embracing this business model evolution, the CIOs cannot get their organizations ready for whatever is next. In this session, you will hear from some of the IT leaders on how they are leveraging the embedded finance trend within their enterprise, the key use cases they have identified, and the challenges they are encountering in their endeavors. We will also explore the relationship between embedded finance and the financial APIs that power them. In the course of this discussion, we will discuss the real-world perspective and the practical steps organizations can take to fulfill the promise of embedded finance and to thrive in an API economy. We have industry practitioners who've been there, done that, and are here to help. With me today is Ruchika Ratan, Sales Lead Business Applications Platform for Google Cloud, and Radhaswamy Gaur, Technical Architect for Media Agility. Media Agility is a Gartner-recognized premier digital consultancy and premier Google Cloud partner that has continually proven its expertise in delivering exceptional digital services to its clients in the banking and financial sector. Hello, Ruchika and Radhaswamy. Welcome to this boardroom conversation and thank you for joining us today. And now let me kickstart today's session by welcoming our esteemed panelists. They are Sankarshan Panda, Head IT and CIO, Annapurna Finance Private Limited. Mohammad Afzal Khan, CIO, IDBI Bank. Naveen Mangle, CTO, Fusion Microfinance. E. Ratan Kumar, GMIT, Central Bank of India. Anil Kuril, CTO, Union Bank of India, and Prashant Deshpande, Vice President IT for Shriram Transport Finance Company. Gentlemen, welcome to the boardroom session and thank you for joining us today. Before we plunge headlong into the discussion, let me set a bit of context here. The last 10 years, they said software was eating the world. Now we're saying that payments are eating the world. As the world becomes more connected, interoperability and data transport between platforms are the two forces at the heart of payments and money movement which will drive the future, and the impact will be huge. So huge, in fact, that platforms, online, wallets, embedded finance, real-time value-added services will shape the future of finance. Embedded finance has become the integration strategy involving the blending of financial services into non-financial platforms, applications, and digital offerings. In fact, 2021 became the breakout year for embedded finance as simplified customer payment options across a variety of platforms and purchasing patterns became real. Conceptually speaking, embedded finance is not something new. If you head into any major retailer for a large purchase, there's a good chance they will provide you an on-site embedded financing option. A prime example of pre-digital embedded finance is the airline credit card offer given at the end of a flight. But now, financial APIs have become a key element of embedded finance. Before financial APIs, non-financial companies needed to invest a large amount of time and resources to offer financial services, including forging partnerships with financial institutions. But the ability of software programs to interact via APIs has reduced the barriers to embedded finance. Smaller companies, such as e-commerce merchants, can now easily integrate with embedded finance providers to start offering products embedded and integrated into the customer journeys. Financial services are getting seamlessly embedded and integrated into our lifestyle. While doing all of this, BFSI companies are engaging with customers in an intuitive and invisible manner. With that as the promise of embedded finance and the premise, let's get started with Mr. Ratan Kumar. Mr. Kumar, one of the key elements that defines embedded finance is that it's a financial service offered outside the traditional going to the bank context. Embedded finance brings financial services to the exact moment and the platform where it's needed. You also are able to provide the financial option to customers in the form of an intuitive, intelligent, seamless, and invisible offering. How do you see embedded finance driving the democratization of financial services? And what are some of the steps you've taken in this direction within your bank?
Well, this is a new segment and a new services which are, there is a gold rush for this embedded finance as on date. This is evolving stage as on date because the financial systems and the eco partners are still developing. The key to this, there I see, if it's my personal view, that the data forms the key uh, in this journey, because and as you rightly said, APIs integrating with the core systems and having right analytics and competitive rule engine, these all becomes a very important elements in the embedded finance. Now, whenever the customer comes here at a right point of time, that decision has to taken over the fly, very fast, and at the right spot in a quick time and at no pace. So analytics, understanding the rule engines, these all form a very integral part while doing this. We have started in a limited way. We have not yet grown or matured to that extent, but we are quickly looking at these business opportunities in our bank.
Right. Right. So, Mr. Kumar, you mentioned that analytics, data, the rules engine, APIs are all the foundational building blocks of that are required for creating a very sturdy foundation for embedded finance within a bank. Now, I'd like to take that thought to Mr. Kuril. Mr. Kuril, when we talk about embedded finance, data, like Mr. Kumar says, is very critical. It becomes the mind, and cloud becomes the backbone that provides the compute for all of these innovations to happen seamlessly. How are you leveraging these two to to realize the promise of embedded finance within your bank?
Yeah, so thank you, Sneha, and good afternoon to all the panelists. I'm really fortunate that I'm here with this panel discussion. Sneha, your question about the foundational technology and how we are leveraging those technologies. So let me tell you that as a bank, we started a quite long back in terms of adoption of a newer technology. So whether it's a cloud or whether it's a AI ML capability as a bank. In fact, I remember that from 2017 onward, we have started adopting the private cloud infrastructure, which means that provides the agility to the organization when it comes to the turnaround time, bringing a new product and services. Similarly, we have also started adopting the AI ML technology from 2018 onward, and by setting up a analytical center of excellence, which will actually taking care of the AI ML part of it. When it comes to the embedded finance, if you look at the embedded finance, which means that banks are not only providing the banking services through their own channels, but providing the banking services through partner channels also, which means that as a customer, you and me, we are expecting that whatever our needs are, including the financial needs, are getting fulfilled through a single platform only. We need not to have a broken journeys from multiple platforms and avail those services. Now, this is a trend which is going on across the globe. It is not only here only, but across the world. Now, when it comes to the embedded finance, which means that first you should have an ability to extend your services to the partner channels, which means that if I take a say example of a Maruti, if as a Union Bank of India, if I need to integrate with the Maruti, then I should have a capability, which means that I should have an open API, which will be able to integrate Union Bank system with the Maruti system. So that is one part of it. Second thing is that my ability to identify a credit worthy customer, because every customer which is visiting the Maruti may not be credit worthy as far as my rules are concerned, which means that not only the information available with me, but whatever information is available in the ecosystem, I should be able to leverage that.
Correct.
Because till yesterday, there was a lot of information asymmetry was there, which means that something which I was knowing more than me, the customer was knowing, and ecosystem was knowing much more than even a customer also, which means that this information asymmetry was existing in our ecosystem. Now, with this digital transformation, that information asymmetry is bridging or is reducing it now. Now, we as a bank should have a ability to leverage all those data, whether it's a CIBIL, credit bureau, or other form of information, should be able to put to a rule engine using a AIML, and able to make a decision whether this customer can be given the finance or not. Now, all these things require a basic or foundational infrastructure, which you talk about the cloud, AIML, and open API. We as a bank, since we started a long back, we are at the matured stage as of now. In fact, we have just recently in discussion with the fintech partners using our open sandbox environment for testing their product and services which they are offering or they are planning to offer to the public. So as a bank, we have put through all those mechanisms which are required for a bank to go beyond a bank's boundary, bank system, and embed with the third-party system so that we can seamlessly provide the services to the customer, whether it's an existing customer or new to bank customer. So as a bank, we have created all those systems and processes in place to extend our services to that level. Yeah, thank you, Sneha.
Right. Mr. Kuril, since you spoke about how your private cloud journey and your analytics center of excellence has helped you create seamless and frictionless journeys for customers, and also sort of helped you identify the credit worthiness of customers. You also spoke about the need for reducing the information asymmetry that exists within the ecosystem. Could you talk to me about some of the use cases that you have identified for embedded finance within banks? Because banks had started to embrace API banking quite some time ago, and they started. There are a number of banking services which were exposed to the partners through APIs. They also allowed banking partners to embed products in the user journeys to make the entire experience seamless for customers. A good example would be Ola credit card, which would allow the customers to apply from within the app itself, and then manage the entire life cycle from within the Ola app. So this sort of allows a non-financial cab hailing company to become a quasi credit card issuer. So how do you identify some of these use cases for embedded finance within banks? Where do you think banks are at the maturity level when it comes to embedded finance?
I think when you look at the embedded finance per se, as a bank, one of the most important product is a lending product as a bank, which means that I should have the ability to decide and lend to the customer in a frictionless manner. Now, for us as a Union Bank of India, we have adopted two strategies. One is our super app, that is a next, that is what we call a super app, which means that this is a lifestyle super app or platform for us, which embed not only the banking services, but all the third-party services which you as a customer or I as a customer are required. So which means that what are those services? which means that marketplace, that is one part of it, that if you need to buy something, that is the one services. If you need to make the payments to any of the your banking partner, bill, utility provider, you should be able to do that. You need an insurance requirement, you need an investment requirement, you need a mutual fund requirement. Or so all those things, they are getting built into the My Super app. That is the next part. That is the next app. That is one part of it. We are also working with a lot of partners which are there in an ecosystem, because bringing every partner onto my app may not be feasible, may not be practically possible, which means that I need to work with the individually with the partner and embed my banking as a service to their sites, and which we are doing with a lot of automakers, auto manufacturer, which we are doing it currently, so that we can finance at their point of. We are also doing the same with the educational institutions. That is another part of it. Again, we have identified some of the other use cases which we are doing it. So we are quite a number of use cases which we have identified as a bank, and we are integrating our services because we have a capability as an open bank, or we have open banking kind of environment where seamlessly I am able to extend my APIs to the third-party system. So which we are doing it. Apart from that, as a bank, we are also providing like say buy now pay later kind of a product.
Right.
This is one trend which is currently going on.
Yeah, the B2B e-commerce.
In order to provide this buy now pay later, you require a certain infrastructure, particularly when it comes to the NTB customer, which means new to bank customer for Union Bank of India. That also requires like infrastructure like account aggregator and OCEN platform. These are the two aspects which we as a bank is currently working on. While account aggregator, in any case, we are relying on that ecosystem. OCEN part, we are working on that, so that end-to-end basis, on the one side you will have a merchant, on the other side will be bank and customer, so that we seamlessly we are able to provide the services which are required for customer. And some of this, and we as a bank is also working on a STP journeys, because as a customer, you don't want a friction, you want a frictionless experience. And for that, the STP journeys are being designed as of now. A lot of lending products are getting built into those kind of a thing. And we as a bank is going to extend through our super app next to that. So some of them like a pre-approved personal loan, then your MSME loans, and a lot of other kind of a lending products are getting built. Going ahead, probably this product will get built into our third-party partners platform also, because that is what our plan is, that all this product which we are building in our app, super app, if customer wants to take it, he can come and do that. If he still don't want to come here and wants to avail from third-party platform, we should have a capability to do that. And that is what we are building, that capability. We are in process of doing that part.
So you started off by talking about lending. Do you also see the SME lending and MSME lending seeing a big chunk of action here when we talk about embedded finance? You spoke about lending to financial institute to automakers, education institutions, but do you see that market also as a thriving market for embedded finance?
In fact, if you look at the Union Bank of India, Union Bank is the second largest bank after SBI as far as the my MSME portfolio is concerned. Which means that in the country after SBI, we are the people who are providing the finance to the MSME customer. Now this is one segment which is a bread and butter for Union Bank of India.
Correct.
And that's why Union Bank of India is designing a multiple product around that segment. And some of these products, they are the frictionless, which means that they are the STP journey. Even today also, if I talk about say Mudra loan, with the only I think 3 or 4 clicks, you are able to get the loan disbursed to your account.
Correct.
So Union Bank is having those kind of products. Even today also, if customer comes to the site, he fills the data, I have a capability to validate him through various bureaus and all. And after that, my rule engine is able to take a decision whether he is a credit worthy or not. Once we decide that part of it, we have a capability even to disburse that, because these are the collateral free loan, small amount loan, So we are able to do. In fact, recently there was a article in the newspaper also, and there was a video which was also getting circulated, that a fisherman in the middle of the sea, he could avail the credit sitting at his boat in the sea and getting a amount disbursed in his account. So Union Bank has created. In fact, one of the use cases also for me is a agriculture renewal. In the state of Karnataka, where land records are fully digitized, we have a capability to land and renew his account in a seamless manner by looking at the data which is available at the government site. We are able to utilize that, put our algorithm around that, and identify that whether he can be given a credit or not. So all those capability we as a bank has built in, and going ahead when my super app will come, some of this facility you are going to see. And obviously, like I said earlier, we have also capability to embed with the third party, and that is our strategy.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Kurul. You also you gave me a very comprehensive view of the use cases that you've identified, how you're going about, creating a fertile ground for, implementing some of these journeys, and also you gave me a futuristic outlook of what's in the offing for some of your offerings that you're coming up with. Now, I'd like to ask Mr. Panda. Mr. Panda, the one recurring theme that's coming out of the responses is that embedded finance, if it has to succeed, needs a very sound API strategy. The APIs enable the security, scale, and the financial integration capabilities and the digital services that are required for making embedded finance a success. So while API is the glue holding all of these various embedded finance applications and experiences together, how are you taking an API first approach to embedded finance within your organization, Mr. Panda?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sneha. Very good afternoon to all the panelists. And thanks for inviting me to this discussion. Yes, uh, answer to your question is that, Annapurna Finance is constantly working on this, how to improve our service to the customer. As you know, we are a finance company, and like bank, we don't have much more opportunity to give and what to accept the deposit to give much more kind of product. We are in line with the RBI, and we have some restrictions as well. But by taking these restrictions, as your question is that, see, API is a vital part. Without API, you cannot do anything. Like if you, for example, now like lot of policies are coming, like they are telling that you have to check that spouse what income and other income as well. If you see that current KYC ML policy, that all of this are saying all this part. So in that case, what will happen if you go and develop all these things? You will take months and years. So it is not possible. So definitely, if you have the API, like in our case, how it is happening, like we have a 3 bureaus. As Kudesis are told that 3 APIs, like 3 bureaus, like we are just submitting the data to that like Equifax, IMARC, CVIL, and Experian. So all of the bureaus, what we are pulling the data. So what happens, like if you change anything, immediately what will happen? We have to create a one API, and that particular API will work with the entire app. That is a kind of API call we have built. And by using that API, so if you see our process, like from customer onboarding to disbursement, uh, most probably we have implemented 7 APIs. So one API, whenever that customer is coming and like inquiring for the data, we are just sending the data to the CBs. That is a CB inquiry. So once it will happen, then we are again one API is there. It is going and it is calling for the T2P kind of thing. Like it is checking there whether the KYCs are correct or not, like duplicate KYC are not there. So once it is over, we are doing some appraisal kind of thing. Then we are doing that minimal additions, like 1 rupee transaction we are doing it, and we are checking whether the accounts are correct or not. So these are the things. So API must play a vital role while doing all these things. And if you know, like certain, like we have created, as Chris I told that some like fisherman immediately got his loan while sitting in the in the mid of sea. So like this also we have developed one product kind of called is emergency loan. So within by 5 minutes or 10 minutes you can get this loan. So though the amount is very less, but you can immediately get the loan. So this is also again like we have implemented a lot of APIs here, and we have just installed the integrated the APIs, and suddenly like in this API, what will happen? Like lot of things has to be skipped because this is the existing customer, and lot of steps we will omit, and directly it will hit to the customer's account. So if you see again, like we are coming with the different products like that customer facing APIs, customer facing apps, where that customer can come and they can tell us to like which financial product they need. So all of the things we are trying to develop, and we are also doing it. So for me, APIs plays a vital role in kind of embedded finance, and in future also it must play a vital role
Right,
in this
right.
journey.
Right, Mr. Panda. So you underline the importance of the importance of APIs and how it is important for organizations to embed it within their systems to then be able to navigate this journey better. I'd like to take that thought to Ruchika. Ruchika, you've heard the views of all the three gentlemen here, and it's now a firmly established fact that APIs are key to driving this entire ecosystem-oriented embedded finance model that we're talking about. So, how does Google Apigee bring BFSI organizations closer to realizing their vision with embedded finance? How do you see it helping them to try to safely and rapidly scale embedded finance APIs in a hybrid, multi-cloud, and a cloud-native environment?
Sure. Thanks so much for the question. I will just start with before I get into the platform itself. I just want to start with the quote, if I may say so, which says that if data is the new oil, APIs are the pipelines. So I think we heard around the stakeholders from almost everyone that APIs are very critical. I think why I bring that up is that the way the APIs were looked into probably over last many years, it's changed in a very drastic manner in last couple of years because APIs are not new. They've been around, from the ESB and SOA world. That time they've been around. But suddenly, why have they gained so much of importance? I think we just need to look at it. And then how do organizations look at hosting APIs today? Even that has completely changed because the whole relevance or the significance of APIs in today's world is very different from the way it was earlier. So, a couple of areas that I just want to kind of bring to light, especially from embedded finance perspective. I think we already heard that the kind of products today, be it lending, be it investments, be it payments, be it credit, be it bank accounts for that matter, all of those products are somewhere getting embedded via indirect channels because today the world is moving towards, as you rightly said, that every company is on its way to becoming a software company. So what's happening is that three areas that I just want to highlight, and then I'll get into a little bit of the platform. The first is creation of products and services itself, especially for BFSI organizations where embedded finance is in here as an opportunity, big opportunity to kind of tap into. The most important part is how do you get the products out to the market very quickly. So speed to market, time to market for creating new products and launching them onto the market. That's one of the big areas which when we meet our customers, every single customers, it's there on their mind that if today they are launching one product in 6 months, how can they launch one in quarter? If somebody's launching one in a quarter, we're asking how can we launch one a month? Because that's the
Basically being
speed.
agile, yeah.
Absolutely. So then, so that's where the whole platform in itself plays a big role. And I would say not just the platform, we are basically helping organizations create platform of platforms. The classic example of that is Google Maps. It got launched in 2004 or 5, somewhere around that, with a very specific use case. And today, the way that whole API has evolved is that today, many organizations have built their businesses using the API. And today, it's become a platform in itself. So that's the way to look at Apigee as a platform. That's not just the platform. It basically helps external parties, organizations create their own platforms by coming onto Apigee as a platform. And that's where I would say the second large area of engagement, which is apart from the product creation, that how do you quickly get that to the market using APIs, where you can either get your own product out of the market faster, or you can empower your partners, etc., who are coming on your platform and building new experiences or products, embedding your own APIs into it. How can they launch products faster? I think that's where Apigee plays a big role. The second is sales and distribution. I would say I heard embedded experiences as one of the big themes coming out of the roundtable. So, as more partners get onboarded, be it fintechs, be it other digital companies with which the BFSI organizations tie up with, or non BFSI companies come on board, you will need to have an ecosystem or a platform wherein they would be able to come in easily, consume APIs, embed them into their own experiences, and bring you as a BFSI organization customer acquisition, more and more customers onboarded. So that's the second area. The third is, I would say you could call it innovation, you could call it dev community engagement, you could call it the next big idea, you could call it crowdsourcing innovation, whatever way you want to call it. But the third large area where Apigee as a platform can help is for the company who's into embedded finance. How do you go outside your organization to source that next best idea? So when you create APIs and you host them in a on a platform like Apigee, which has security inbuilt, analytics inbuilt, be it business, IT, operations, you have the entire DevOps integrated with it. You have the AI ML, power of AI ML coming to the security portfolio of Apigee in it. When you have mediation, transformation, all of that out of the box into the platform, that is when you are in a very confident way and in a very mature way go out to the world and crowdsource innovation. You might just want to roll out 10 APIs free of charge, and literally we've seen some of our customers paying developers to come on the platform and coming and innovating on the platform, consuming a bank's APIs or any organization's APIs. So that to me is
So
the third area.
crowdsourcing innovation, democratizing innovation, and shortening the innovation cycles.
Cycle and literally sourcing that next big idea from outside, and who knows, they might be your next big partner, or they might be your next big, I don't know, investment company. You might just source the IP from them or rev share with them. Now, as I talk about all of these ideas and all of these areas of impact, the most important thing is that the platform has to have a lot of this stuff out of the box. So be it the monetization engine which is inbuilt, be it the developer portal which is inbuilt, be it the security policies which are inbuilt, be it the analytics across business IT ops which is inbuilt. That's where the build versus buy conversation comes in. That if you have a platform which is ready to go today, you just go on a whiteboard your strategy of embedded finance, whichever way you want to roll it out, come on the platform and roll it out, in just matter of days or weeks, and sometimes some features even in a matter of hours. So that's where I will give it back to you. That's just my 2 cents on it.
Right. Could you state some interesting examples from the BFSI sector where you've seen some of the organizations benefiting out of this in terms of unlocking new revenue streams and reaching out to customers better, being able to use their data much better?
Sure. I mean, see, the examples are numerous, but I would like to state maybe 2 examples. They are public case studies on Google Cloud Portal. So the first one is Bank BRI. It's an Indonesian bank.
Indonesian
Uh,
Rakyat Bank.
Yes, the main objective of theirs was to drive financial inclusion, especially going into rural areas, and drive as much of financial inclusion as possible. So what they did was, I mean, I think they kind of traversed the entire full life cycle, as we call it, of API management with Apigee as a platform, wherein, of course, they curated products, expose them as APIs on their platform. And as they started growing, I think the place where they literally hit the North Star, which is typically monetization, which is typically most of the organizations want to know what is that next wave of growth or next product that they can build, which can help them fetch revenue or dollars, and at the same time create value for the ecosystem. I think that's where what they did was, beyond a certain point, when they wanted to drive financial inclusion further deeper into rural areas, how they went ahead and onboarded their own customers as agents, and empowered them with mobile applications using APIs hosted on Apigee platform, and then continue to further enrich those data sets in those APIs, where at some point they could actually go ahead and charge for those APIs being consumed by those either regional experiences which were getting built by those agents, or any regionalization or localization that they wanted to drive. Ultimately, they leaned on the data sets coming from the backend as APIs being hosted on Apigee as a platform, as the part of the developer portal. So as they consumed that, actually, the bank could actually generate a $50 million line of business via API monetization, at the same time creating huge value, bringing in regionalization and localization of those experiences for the larger customers in rural areas, and in the process also acquiring so many customers indirectly. The second example is, just to keep it short, I would say one of the large global banks, they started monetizing a WhatsApp based payment product as APIs. So they gather a lot of data, first of all, as signals from the market, some of it came from reporting and analytics on Apigee as a platform. Some of it came from some of the other systems as feedback signals from the larger base out there. And they realized that there was a big need of launching a WhatsApp based payments product. And they just kind of went to the whiteboard, created APIs around that, exposed it on the platform, and started. And the interesting part was, I always say that you got to be ready for a lot of trials when you are figuring out a monetization strategy. Unless you're very sure that you're going to launch this API and you're very sure there's a customer segment out there which is going to pay for it. I think what they did was they actually built a community first of a lot of consumers. Once they had a mass of consumers on that payment product, then they monetize that with B2B on the B2B side, saying that, okay, so and so, Mr. Business, we have this much of customer base already using a payment product. Can we now come together and launch more value added services to this customer base, and you will have to pay me for consuming this as an API? And that was a classic example of the ecosystem play and building the whole community, the external community, using APIs as products, and then literally merging the two together to build value for the whole ecosystem and launch a new line of revenue for the bank itself.
I'd like to take this next question to Mr. Panda. Mr. Panda, how are you leveraging embedded finance for increasing the customer lifetime value, for upgrading your product offerings, and for creating new revenue streams?
Yeah. So actually, as I speak earlier, that we are creating some product that is called customer facing app.
Right. Could
Because
you give
by
me some
create,
specific instances and also some quantifiable benefits, qualitative benefits that you've already started to
uh,
see?
yes, yes. Actually, yeah. Look, see, whenever our business strategy, I'm just explaining. Like, whenever we are doing the business, we have the branches, and in branches we have those field staff. Like, field staffs are going to directly to the clients, right? And they are going to the clients, and they are getting the business from the clients. They are going to door, and they are going to villages, and they are extracting the business from there. But the problem is here that we are not getting direct business from. We don't have any kind of app or kind of anything like that. Customer can directly apply the loan, or they can tell that we need the loan, so that our staff can uh, like uh, call them and can go to them and collect the application. So for that, what we are thinking, we are just planning to implement a in-house dedicated team, we want to do a startup for the to develop that customer facing app. So in that app will be public, and customer can come to here and they can apply for the loan, and various kind of loans will be there. As I told, we are offering that emergency loan. We are offering multiple loans, sanitation loans, like dairy loan, any kind of various kind of products like consumer durable loans. So these kind of loans they can directly apply, and they can directly get it from there also. Even we are planning to we can offer the loans to them immediately. So here how we will get benefited, because for this to get a loan, we have to spend a lot of times. We have to spend manpower. We have to spend our lot of efforts. We have to spend our obviously other resources as well. But here what will happen, not directly, our business will increase at least 5 to 10x immediately. So if you create
Absolutely.
that customer facing app, so that is the number one. Number two, what
So
we are
one is
just
with volume and being able to offer small ticket size loans instantly, so that the demand is quickly met, right? Because there's a lot of competition in that market as well, right?
yes, the volume will be increased, like our portfolio will be increased. The disbursement amount will also increase. and the maybe like that quality portfolio can be increased, and our reach will also increase. As like in future we are going to like apply for like other banking license and other license, it may help to for us to grow in that area as well. And number two, like we are planning to have like dedicated what like we have a client variance mechanism, but we are planning to increase that as well. Like we have to call to each and every customer, and we have to like just want to hear from 30 seconds or 20 seconds from them, so that like we can directly get to know is that if they are facing any problem or any challenges, so that immediately we can solve this problem. Maybe like we can jot it down, like maybe 100 number of problems are coming from different customers. So we'll just list out all the problems, and we can filter out all these problems, and you can work on this kind of problem. So that is number two. So there also we want to like developing in-house app. Like that app also will centralize to different customers, and they can use that app in that way. And third thing, like definitely we are increasing our like previously we are having like in-house servers and other things, but now we are moving to entire things to enter infra to our cloud infrastructure. Because you know the scale, the level of scale or the level of business we are doing it. Maybe you know like for last 10 days we have a huge business. So at that time we are unable to manage that infra. But if you are moving to the other cloud infra and something like the scalability will be more. So at that instantly we can increase that infra, and we can like switch that infra as when it is needed. So that is why we are planning to manage all those things.
Right, right. All right. So you gave us examples of how you're using it to bring in that sort of an agility and scale to build that scale within your business model to be able to service a bigger audience, and you're able to then meet the financial needs in the hinterlands with different offerings. Ruchika, is there anything you want to add? You had raised your hand.
Sure, Sneha. I just wanted to add one very important aspect here as I was hearing to Mr. Shankarshan, which is to think of APIs as products, as Lego blocks. All this conversation about speed to market, time to market, agility, all of that is dependent on how composable you build your APIs as fundamental building blocks, because then you can literally mishmash them and launch whatever you want in a very, very quick time. And from platform perspective, one of the things that I just thought is very, very fundamental and just worth bringing in here is that does the platform have that API product mindset built in? Can you in the platform log in and build APIs as products, and starting from governance mechanisms to security controls to policies to monetization, whatever you want to do with those APIs, can you do all of that on your APIs as products? Not just as standalone APIs. Because whatever we talked about today, be it embedded experiences, be it creating new sales and distribution models, be it creating products and services, be it tying up with the partner ecosystem, all of that, you will literally need these Lego blocks to come together for different use cases in different ways, and then apply very different kind of policies and workflows and mechanisms on top of those products so that you can quickly go to the market. So I just wanted to kind of call that out. It was a very, very important point. I thought will be worth it to bringing up here.
Right, right. Now, I'd like to move to Radhaswamy. Radhaswamy, financial APIs are, the real building blocks, Lego blocks, as Ruchika also said, and she spoke about APIs as products. How are you leveraging it, and how are you helping your customers deal with this better?
Yeah, thanks, Neha. So to get the benefits of the API economy or to lead an enterprise digital transformation journey, we have to have an API strategy. And before that, we analyze where are we now. Currently, microservices have been built, or there is a huge monolith on which we have to work and develop the microservices and then expose them as HTTP-based REST services. And then we think that where we want to be down the line, maybe in next 2 quarters. And then most importantly, how to get there. So keeping all these things in mind, then we devise API strategy. Important aspects of that strategy is this strategy should align with the enterprise strategy overall in general. And then it should also align with the business model. So what value does these APIs create for the enterprise. Do they want to monetize the APIs, or these APIs are there for compliance purpose? Of course, a mix of these generally is the case. And then technology is another important aspect for API strategy, which means necessarily select API gateway. Ruchika said a lot about this. APG is one of the best API gateway which we have been working with since years. We have to keep in mind that which gateway suits the current IT landscape and the other integrations and its offerings, like the analytics and the customization. So you can do the democratization of the APIs. You can build products around it, and then share these APIs with millions and millions of users across the globe. And then the distribution and marketing of the APIs. Who are the customers of these APIs? How they are going to onboard, and they have to be onboarded quickly. They should not take days, weeks. They should be quickly onboarded. Test the APIs, should be able to test the APIs, and then and there, and subscribe to those APIs. In fact, products, API products, and then the operations or the maintenance of those APIs which the enterprise builds, because maintenance is ongoing. You have to add new APIs, change the versions of the current APIs. You have to build newer dashboards for business purposes and all. We as a digital transformation partner work with the payment APIs, lending APIs, APIs related to compliance and regulatory purpose with APG as the underlying product. So we set up APG hybrid on Anthos, which has the runtime plane and control plane. So runtime plane is, there are some APIs which you want to execute on their enterprise want to run on their on premises, and yet they want to be able to view those APIs on the Google Cloud for the management. So those APIs are deployed on Anthos hybrid, and then APG on cloud. So the APIs which enterprise wants to open to billions and millions of users, of course, restricted usage and all, giving the permissions. Those APIs are directly deployed on APG on cloud and open for the users. APG gives the customization. So whatever there may be, there were some cases like customers wanted to upload huge documents to their internal systems, and we had to do some customizations which were quickly or easily integrable with APG. So we did that, and APG provides the analytics, which is very distinctive across the market. We can build the custom reports, the dashboards, alerts out of the box are there. There are so many things which we have been doing on this based on the customer requirements. One particularly important thing I want to highlight here is that there were thousands of merchants which customer want to onboard quickly, and we did it through automation in hours, not in weeks. And lastly, the developer portal, which also mentioned that this is the most critical for a quick go-to-market with all your 1,000 APIs you build in your system, and you want to expose them with the millions of users with all the restriction on access and permission. That is only feasible and possible with a elaborate or dynamic developer portal that comes with API, and you can also build your own.
Right, correct. Now, Mr. Radhaswamy and Ruchika, both of you spoke about, how APIs become the conduits for all of these innovations, the data-led innovations, creating new revenue streams, making your ecosystem robust, and all of that. We've touched upon angles on scale, sturdiness of the platform, robustness, reliability, but security becomes a very key part of that equation when we're talking about financial services. There's a lot of money involved, there's customer trust, there is sensitive business critical information, regulatory compliance. There are a lot of these angles that make the situation very complex and also very lucrative for cyber attackers. So how are you making sure that the security aspect is dealt with, so that CIOs do not have sleepless nights over exposing their systems to all of these things?
So being in Google product, APG comes with inbuilt security and multiple level of security that is there. Data in rest is always safe, and data in movement also,
Transit.
in transit also secured by Google policies. And on top of those, it gives us the flexibility to apply our own encryption and decryption mechanisms. So, and generally we always do it we, as soon as we receive the input from the users, then we do encryption and decryption at the product level and then send it to the backend. And then there are SSL implementation that also can be done at front end and the backend at every level.
Right.
Yeah.
If I may add,
Mr.
Sneha,
Yes.
if I may add just one point, I think one of the things which is very, very important is, and honestly, today, a lot of customers are building business cases just purely basis API security in terms of the investment that they want to make with API platforms. One of the things where directionally we are moving is autonomic API security to make sure that the power of AI ML blends with security, literally kind of making things like recommendation engines coming into the security part, wherein can some things which are not going right just at the time of creation itself, can they be flagged there and then because maybe the right security policies were not enforced. So to summarize, the first is how AI ML coming into the security part, especially API security, can just completely
Identify
transform the
threats
way we
at an
look
early
at
stage.
security, right? And the second part is the out of the box security mechanisms, which Radha Swami already spoke about.
Right. Now, Mr. Khan, are we ready? Mr. Khan?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it is a very great insight that Ruchika has given. It's a really lovely thing. I just want to add a few things, based on whatever I've heard. See, when we talk about security, it is definitely all this cloud provider, because all this thing would definitely be on the cloud, because no company would be interested in hosting such services or say API on their own premises. Even if it is on their own premises, it will be a cloud on prem, right? So because, and that's the exact reason all these cloud provider are providing a great amount of security, which is, I think, see, I work in a bank. I'm a CIO of a bank, so I know RBI is very strict on security, and there we have seen that uh, this cloud service provider are able to convince the CISOs and CIOs and RBI that okay, they are giving a very robust security architecture. See, another thing which I heard about this, about largely that API integration is the key through which all this new way of banking or new way of connecting customer to the lender or a say, insurance policy provider. See, I feel what is required as a base is you need to have a very strong data warehouse kind of a setup, because you cannot expose your, must, each company must be having various source system. You cannot expose multiple source system to the outside world, whether it is through a cloud or your own setup. Ideally speaking, see, underline there should be a very strong warehouse of data which is culled out from various source system, put it in a separate place, and that only limited part is exposed to the world. And I feel as a banker, I feel, see, banks in a form, I mean, everyone must have heard a lot about this, that the banking in a current form will go away. All these fintechs will take over, because that is the way forward. The kind of revolution which is happening, I heard someone talking about Indonesian bank, how they are able to reach they are promoting FI through the mechanism. I think this is the way forward, and definitely in future, this kind of banking where we just say embedded finance, this is going to be the future, and this is how it will remain. And within the bank also, like, we have a very robust API. So what I'm saying, as a bank, we have a very robust system. It is in the making, I would say. We have not yet built up the whole ecosystem of what do you say, API, but we are moving forward. But as Radhaswamy was saying, I mean, I really feel very great. I would like to take his consultation, because they have gone way ahead of a lot of people, I suppose. So it's this is what I would like to say, and thank you, Sneha, that you had called me, and some of your colleagues were after me, but I'm sorry that I could join only quite late.
So
Thank you.
very quickly, if you could talk to us about how you are realigning your value chain and core offerings around this trend. If you could talk to us about some of the ways in which it's really helped you drive business development better with information and data.
Actually, here I would say, see, we have multiple, verticals within the bank. Someone is looking after the retail retail business of getting loans. Another is looking after FI loans, where the small ticket loans are given. So in this area, we are in the very advanced stage of talking to all these great fintech companies. Earlier, we had some challenge because we didn't have a fintech policy. We got it approved just 2 months back. Now we are going very aggressively, and then the idea is that to take advantage of the what is available in the market. And since I would say we are starting slightly late, we have that advantage of knowing what is happening, what has actually been successful. If you really see, I will just give an example. Like Government of India had some years back, they had come out with an app called PSB Loan 59 minutes or something like that, where they were saying that any customer would just come to an app, he will indicate his requirement and whatever parameters he has, PAN number, GST, and all that. Based on that, he'll be offered from various banks the terms and the loan amount. He can select based on the location, based on his liking, and then that was one good, I would say, approach Government of India has initiated, but somehow it did not materialize in a way that government was looking for. So that was again done by one of the fintech company through which it was done. So this kind of things were slow. Now I think this is picking up, and we at IDBI Bank are going very strongly on this. And I would like to connect the other Swami because I was really feeling great that such things have happened.
My pleasure,
Right.
sir. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Thank you. Now, Mr. Kural, so you heard Mr. Khan's inputs also. Now, when we talk about embedded finance, it requires a very careful balancing of technology, financial partnerships, data that brings in knowledge about the customers. You yourself spoke about information asymmetry. So all of that knowledge that comes with data and information, and also regulatory compliance on one end. So due to the complex regulatory landscape, different embedded finance scenarios carry different kinds of unique kinds of risk levels, and compliance and security requirements. How do you deal with this challenge? How do you think banks can navigate this issue?
When it comes to embedded finance, now embedded finance is not in a silos working in any of the organization. These are all a part of your bigger strategy, that is a digital transformation strategy. When we talk about the digital transformation, it's not only the technology project per se, but it is also an organization project. Now, when I say organization project, which means that the digital transformation, including the embedded finance, required a mindset change as far as the organization is concerned. Sponsorship from the top management is required, from the board to MD, CEO, and down below. Third is a cultural shift. As an organization, you have to think differently. Digitization or transformation projects are not a digitization project per se. You are not digitizing the existing processes into the digital form. Rather, you are creating a new kind of a product, new kind of a services, and embedded finance is one such services. Now, when you come to the technology part of it, till now, as an organization, most of us, they were working on a monolithic technology, which was not scalable, which was not expandable, which was not able to create a system in an open architecture format or in what we call a loosely coupled architecture. It was a more or less a tightly coupled architecture, whatever as an organization you were doing. Now, all this aspect, if you actually look at it, which means that when you are doing a digital transformation, you have to select a right kind of a technology platform which will provide you the capability on an open architecture or open banking kind of environment. Now, when you look at the entire ecosystem per se from the technology point of view, you have a presentation layer, which means that the layer on which customer get interacted, the kind of a experience which he is looking for, that is one set of a part of one component of your digital transformation part. Second component is the middleware or middle layer, which we talk about now, the API gateway. API layer is a one such middle component, which is a connecting your presentation layer with the core systems. Third part is your AI ML strategy, which means that the data from your core banking will not be directly take out and churn it and give a decision, which means that you require a data lake or similar kind of technology in an organization where you build a capability to give the decision on the fly. Fourth part is your core technologies, your core banking, and the digital lending platform and other part of it. So, which means that in a digital transformation area, all these layers are coming into, and as an organization, none of us can be or would be successful unless we look at the strategy from all point of view. Now, since I limit my discussion part only from the API part of it or other. Now, as a bank, when you look at the systems, it is not only within the organization, but you have to connect from in the ecosystem also, outside also. Now, as a bank, you should have that capability by building your enterprise class system, which not only provide you the flexibility to connect at your will, you should be able to extend your services. You should be able to roll out the new product as per your will and provide the security. These are the components as far as your gateway part is concerned. Now, when you come to the scalability part of it, you don't require a monolithic architecture, but you require something called a microservice-based architecture, which can expand or become scalable as and when you need it. So, which means that you are required to build those kind of layer. Second part is your data which you are exposing outside. I think Ruchika has said, and Radhaswamy has also said, that when you are exposing your data outside, what will happen to the regulatory requirement? Correct. Because finally, you are dealing with the customer data, that is the PIA data, and which is protected by the regulatory guidelines. You as an organization, you still hold your accountability and responsibility as far as your customer data are concerned, which means that you have to build a robust security architecture around your systems, whether it's on-prem or outside, or whether it's on the public cloud, which means that as an organization, you are accountable for safeguarding the customer information. Now, the question comes up that your security architecture, whether it is supporting you that or not. Now, in terms of a security architecture which organizations have built over a period of time, they are supporting to the legacy environment, which means that you had a layer or defense in depth kind of a architecture where layer by layer you were protecting it. When it comes to the cloud part of it or microservice part of it, now your security architecture is getting blurred into something else. Now you should have a capability to address that. You should be able to put a new security architecture in and around your organization to protect this kind of environment. One of the most important aspects as far as the organizations are concerned is a skilling or rather reskilling, because for running all these systems, you need a man or you have trained resources. Now, from where you are going to get the resources on a newer technology part of it, right? Which means that as an organization, you need to run the skilling program for your existing resources because they are on your role. Second part is also that since technologies are changing in a very rapid fashion, which means that irrespective of how much you train your people, there is always a requirement that you need to take those skills from outside. So you should also have a strategy depending on your requirement, you should be able to take it. So putting across comprehensively all these things, then only you will be successful in the digital transformation as well as in your embedded finance, which we are talking about, which is a part of many organized digital transformation program. When it comes to this data which we are talking about now, which means that the point where customer is interacting with you, till the data it is getting stored within your system, it is your responsibility which you need to take care of it. Correct. I think Radhaswamy has talked about the data in transit, data at store, which means that as an organization, you need to build all those strategies before you actually expose your system and data outside the world. Because I think every one of us agrees that every organization is attacked, they are already hacked, which means that none of us can
No one
take
is.
security for granted. So that is one part which we all need to understand that part. And then only once you are through with that, or at least you have broadly conceptualized that this is how you are going to go, then only you will be successful. That is one part of it. When it comes to the organization, in a traditional organization, you are seeing that there is IT department and there are business verticals. Now these are the two set of people who are deciding that what need to bring out to the customer. Now in a digital transformation world, this is not going to function that way, which means that you as an organization need to create those kind of a layer at the organizational level also. Like in Union Bank of India, when we started our digital journey, we started a specific set of verticals to take care of a specific area of operation. IT is required to take care of the core system, integration layer, and other aspect of it. We have created something called a digitization vertical, which take care of the employee journey and customer journey, including the embedded finance part of it. We have created another vertical, which is called a analytics center of excellence, which means that the AI ML data analytics part is being taken care by that vertical, and they are very specialized people who actually makes a meaning out of any data. Then we have something called a management information system, because finally you have to cater to the regulatory requirement also. So
Correct.
all those transformation bank has undertaken this, and bank has stabilized those systems. Then only we have gone ahead with our digital transformation journey, including the embedded finance, which we talk about some of the bank.
Right. So, so Mr. Kuril, you've given us an interesting snapshot of, the before-after scenario as well, where you spoke about, a very tightly coupled monolithic architecture. You spoke about the need for reskilling, a new security architecture, keeping the regulatory concerns in mind, and also keeping the employee experience and all of those things in mind. Now, while we are at it, I'd also like to understand from you, since you spoke about BNPL in your previous response, there are a lot of mixed reactions and opinions around BNPL, where some see that as the next big trend. Some are not, very sure whether this is actually a winning trend for both the parties. How do you see BNPL taking this trend of embedded finance forward? How do you approach the integrated lending within your organization?
As an organization, we are very bullish on the pre-approved loan or credit. Now, when it comes to the pre-approved, which means that you are required to know customer very well. You are supposed to understand his behavioral aspect, his financial need, and his
Credit
requirement,
worthiness.
which is coming from outside. Now, when you look at the customer, your relationship with the customer may be very limited. They may be doing a few transactions with you. However, they may be doing many things with the outside in the ecosystem, which means that you should have an ability to capture all those data or obtain all this data and make you should be able to make intelligence out of that about the customer behavior. Once you are able to do successfully, then only you can venture into that. That is one part of it. However, once you have gone and you have built a portfolio of a certain value, you should recheck again that what is the delinquency level, whether my business rule engine has worked well, or is it a tweaking required. So that kind of a mechanism or exercise or stress testing, you need to keep doing that. That is one part. Second part is that also, which is a very interesting. In fact, somewhere I was hearing that while we talk about that, how many customers we have sanctioned or we have given the credit, and that is a success is measured from that. Now, the another aspect is that how many customers you have not given, but they got and they are continue to be a good customer, which means that your rule engine need to be tweaked around, saying that you have left out some customer which whom you have not considered credit worthy, but they are actually credit. So that is one part of it. Second, when you are talking about the delinquency ratio or the issue in your business rule engine, you look at your own data set and say that this is a percentage of customer which is actually delinquent or there is a stress in the portfolio. that may not be actual case, because the K, when you measure it, you have to see holistically the customer whom you have given, that is one part of it, the customer whom you have not given, and the within which what is the percentage is coming out of. So all those aspects as a team, you have to consider all those aspects. Then only you have to decide that what will be the your BRE, how you are going to tweak around, which are the factors you are going to consider, and there has to be review mechanism. As an organization, you have to put those governance structure in and around. Then only you will be successful. Otherwise, if you are putting it unsupervised thing, then obviously you will be in a big trouble going ahead.
Correct. That's right. Right. Thank you, Mr. Kuril. Now, with that, we'll move into a quick wrap-up round. I think we'll start with Mr. Panda. Mr. Panda, while there is no specific playbook for success when it comes to API banking or and embedded finance, there are a few factors that organizations should consider as they get into this whole trend of embedded finance. What are some of the key factors that they should consider, and what is your ask of the technology vendor partners? A quick 30 seconds by the clock, if you could start, Mr. Panda, and then Mr. Khan and Mr. Kuril could take turns.
Actually, they should come with some strong solutions.
Sorry, some?
Like the vendor has to come with some strong solutions. If there is no
Okay.
API, so they should have like some kind of technology, like kind of plug and play technology should be there, so that we can integrate with our ERP or other software, so that we can immediately plug and play and work and better.
Mr. Khan, if you could, share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think the single most important thing when it comes to going ahead with this kind of a architectural change in our product and services, as Mr. Anil was talking. See, the single most important thing is security, and I should say security, security, security. But however, I would say, as I was telling you, in the current scenario, a lot of cloud providers are providing a very strong security, and RBI is not against that. It is we will be able to manage it, and RBI is also opening up, because ultimately, see, a time has come where people have to move out slowly or the other the whole the world will make you change. So security is definitely the main thing.
Mr. Kuril?
I only say that since customer need is changing, ecosystem is changing, so as a financial service provider, we need to change. This is a must in order to remain relevant in the industry and in the ecosystem.
Right.
And whatever need to take in order to change or transform, we as a CTO or CIO, we need to undertake those exercises and carry out to make your organization successful.
Yes. Mr. Khan?
Other than the security, I think the technology partners who are there. And if you really see this fintech companies, largely what is happening, if they are not getting right kind of support financially or technical support. So what is happening, I may go with one fintech company, and tomorrow they may wrap up their shop and go away. It is a big risk for the bank, right?
Absolutely.
So here again, I feel that we have to see that it matters a lot. So we have to see that the financial strength of such fintechs are also there. This is what I want to say. Thank you.
Correct. Very quickly, Ruchika and Radhaswamy, from your experience of working with customers, what do you think are some of the critical factors that they need to address? Where do you think they miss the boat?
So the first is, I think there is a lot of conversation that we always have around gateway versus platform. I think a lot of the mindset is still to put up an API gateway, and there is a very clear differentiation between an API gateway versus what a platform does. An API platform actually manages the full API lifecycle. An API gateway typically might address certain parts of the API lifecycle, but not the full lifecycle. So we'll be happy to talk more offline on that. But that's one important thing, that when as a BFSI institution, when a lot of your digital business is going to run on this, look at it as a platform investment and not just as a standalone siloed or pointed use case oriented gateway. The second thing I would want to share is that today many times we come across environments which are multi-cloud. When I say multi-cloud, there could even be some part on-prem, especially with the data sensitivity involved around BFSI institutions. So there is typically and always a multi-cloud setup, either an on-prem plus a cloud provider. So look at platforms which can support that multi-cloud journey, in a seamless way, and most importantly, in a scalable and a performance-oriented way, because you don't need a gateway which can take care of maybe your throughput or performance requirements today or scale today, but it should take care of the scalability requirements when you're able to maybe grow 10x from your current customer base, because you're going to onboard partner ecosystem and all of that strategies. Once they kick in, you will have scale like you would have never imagined. So think futuristic when it comes to scalability, performance, multi-cloud, all of that
Future
stuff. And
proofing. Future proofing.
future proofing, absolutely. And the third is, I would say, security. I think I would just reinforce that point, that look at a platform which comes with a lot of this stuff inbuilt. I think one of the panelists raised plug and play. So look at that platform which offers you more stuff inbuilt, but also with the flexibility for you to drive some of the customizations as needed beyond what's already there out of the box. So look at that capability which is out of the box as much as possible, plus the custom capability, which could be in the form of extensibility framework or the larger cloud story which might come together, which could be data analytics. How does that come together with API platforms, especially the data platform? I think many times we've seen that customers kind of tend to lose sight about the data. And the interesting part is that ultimately APIs carry data. So
Right.
the point is, how do you look at a larger data plus API strategy, maybe from a single vendor or a single provider, the strongest of the two platforms coming together, on top of which you can do your AI ML magic. So look at that overall holistic platform, even the outside API platform strategy to come together with this API platform, and how it can bring some of the large use cases to life for BFSI institutions.
Right. Radhaswamy, very quickly, if you could tell us what are some of the key factors you think organizations in this domain should consider?
Yeah, so what we have been talking since last 10 minutes are the biggest risk of embedded finance. One is security. Everybody has echoed about that. And as the technology is advancing, we are getting newer innovations, but at the same time, we are getting newer ways of fraudulent activity. So they are also on the rise. But
Correct.
technology leaders are working on it, and we are sure that we'll get over it and will be continue getting innovations faster than the
Right.
fraudulent activities.
Right.
Other most important thing I wanted to highlight is that bigger enterprises, few of those are still working with legacy technology, so they have to come up fast with their newer technologies, and that is probably the answer of the disruptions made by fintechs.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the bigger enterprises who are working on with the legacy technologies, they will lag behind if they don't quickly.
Core banking modernization.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you so much, Radhaswamy. Thank you so much to my elite set of panelists. I think in the wrap up round, you've pretty much summed up everything that we spoke about, and also the future roadmap that organizations should have while considering, while vetting their vendor, while considering the pitfalls that they should avoid. The one established fact is that embedded finance is the trend for the future. Financial services will have to rethink their business model, their processes, technology, to compete on this new frontier. In this time that we had, we spoke about how data and cloud become critical to build a foundation for embedded finance, and also the very critical and foundational role that API plays in this. The need for APIs to enable innovation, to be secure, to be robust, reliable, performance oriented. I think we pretty much covered all of that, and we also discussed what are some of the key stumbling blocks that organizations should avoid. On that note, I would like to thank each one of you, Mr. Khan, Mr. Kuril, Mr. Panda, Ruchika, Radhaswamy. Thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this discussion and sharing your insights and perspectives with us. Thank you once again. Have a lovely evening, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.